Hello, I'm Joe Strecce and I'm a blindness consultant. This video is specific to disability disclosure. It's a complicated topic, I guess. Disability disclosure is very personal, but and there is no right answer. If someone tells you there's the perfect answer to disability disclosure, they're probably lying to you. I can tell you my opinion on disability disclosure. I can tell you some of the things that might impact your disability disclosure, and what disability disclosure is, how you share personal information about you and your disability to the workplace, and sharing that, choosing to share it, and it's not just filling it out on a form. It's explaining to them, telling them, because it's different than self-identification, which is a human resources type thing, marking it off and it's being tracked and it's not being shared with your supervisor and others. But disability disclosure in the employment process is complicated. So when I think back to my experiences, I'm totally blind now, but I lost vision over time. I was low vision for a long time. And I think back to work experiences, and where I am now is different than where I was back in the day. And I can remember back to employment situations where I wasn't disclosing until maybe the job interview and showing up, and then having to explain and catching them off guard, and the situation where they feel uncomfortable, and this interview turns into having to explain yourself. And really what it comes down to is the employment process is about creating trust between you and the employer. And the further you get into the employment process without disclosing about your disability, thins that level of trust, and it makes it much more delicate. So you have to decide for yourself. I believe in getting my foot in the door, so I believe in, my resume doesn't spell out that I'm totally blind. You can figure it out easily in with my work experience in life and the internet, but for everyone it's different. So I don't spell it out there, but you could probably figure it out. So when it comes down to it, I want to have that conversation. So before the interview, I'm going to reach out to them and let them know that I'm a person who's blind, and this is what, I'll ask them questions, but I also want them to feel a little more comfortable when I come into the workplace. And during that interview, I go in with the idea that I'm going to have to address the elephant in the room. And what I mean is, the elephant in the room is the questions about how I'm going to do the job. And that, for me, that's the practical things like using technology and how I use technology, and also how I'm going to get to the job. The National Industries for the Blind, and I think it was 2011, did a study and with those gatekeepers and human resources professionals, and what are their big questions about hiring someone who's blind or low vision. And their number one question was, how are they going to do the job? And number two was, how are they going to get to work? And it's not even just get to work, it's get around. So I'm prepared to talk about myself and my experiences and how I get around, but also how I can do the job. And I make sure that I talk to my references beforehand as well, that make them more comfortable to talk about how I do my job and how I am successful in the job, and how I use technology, so that they feel comfortable talking about it too. Because, employers, you want to build that trust, but they're afraid to ask those questions. So you have to make them feel at ease and make them feel comfortable where they can ask those questions. If they don't ask those questions, do you think they're going to hire you? Like if an employer walks away from a job interview having lots of questions about an applicant, are they going to hire that person? Probably not. So I want to make sure that they're comfortable. So I want to have that conversation. I reach out to them ahead of time. I let them know. And then I'm also prepared to talk about it when I go in the room. I'm prepared to, but I don't want my whole interview to be about that. And there are times in your career where you're going to face that, where it turns into, and you can feel that turn. And you know what? Sometimes if you can't win those people over, you don't want to work there. Because that's not the only time you're going to have that conversation and the only obstacle you're going to face. but there are going to be so many more people that are going to be open to it. And I think it's an exciting process, the employment process. It's not easy. We've all faced discrimination. We've all faced obstacles, but it is an exciting time. It's a great time. And I look at it as like a game or a competition, and I try to do my best, and if I bring my best, I think I'm going to win, and that's getting that job opportunity. And it's also, the employment process is about feeling out whether it's the right place for you or not. So making sure, and when you're going through that disability disclosure, you want to make sure that you feel comfortable with that workplace too. So I want to go into a place and succeed, and part of it is me being able to be who I am. And so I look forward to hearing from you all, and this is my video on disability disclosure, and I wish you the best in the employment process, and you can check out my other videos on my YouTube channel. Thank you.